Hello, Leos. This is your reading for February 2017. This reading talks about your situation, an obstacle, or conflict, also your fate, your destiny, or karma. It also talks about your strengths, what you can do to change your obstacle, other challenges you might have, and then the final outcome. Here was an extra card that fell out. And then I have 3 extra cards that talk about your significator, your clarifying card, and advice. And since this reading turned out to be a love reading for most everybody, I also pulled some Romance Angel Oracle cards, and we'll get to those at the end. All right, let's begin. The current situation, or the most recent situation, was the Chariot upright. Usually when I see this, I think Cancer, and I was surprised that it came up in the spot that it did, because almost always when I do this reading, the very first card that we pull up is the signs card. So I really expected to see strength here, and I didn't. In fact, your card never came up. But I know this reading is for you, and I can talk about that a little bit later. If this is going to be, if you're in this situation, I think of these Sphinx at the bottom, how they're, part human, part lion, and Leos are lions. So right now, that's the only thing I can see as far as how this involves you. But this is your current situation or most recent situation. The Chariot's number is 7, which means things are a little imbalanced or at odds. But normally the Chariot means victory, especially when it's upright. It talks about working hard, you're being tenacious. It could be providence, God is watching out for you. And when I did this reading, I prayed to Jesus, asking the Holy Spirit to give Leos what they needed to know for February 2017. And this reading is definitely meant for you guys. This card could also mean war. You see a man riding his chariot away from a city, maybe into war. But it also talks about a triumph, okay? What you've triumphed over is going to be up to your interpretation. This could talk about vengeance. But it mainly says to be bold. Time is fluid, okay? So you can take your time. If this were reversed, it would talk about quarrels and disputes and being defeated, but it's upright. Okay, so it means you're feeling good, or you shortly will. It talks about having control and willpower. That's how you feel. Talks about opposites can make people whole. Opposites come together. But if this talks about trouble, which it can, even if it's upright, that opposites may be trouble for you. It just depends on who you are. And you may have to use a lot of willpower to make it work. This card represents, I said time is fluid. It talks about how the past is done, but you have protection for the future. I think that's a really good indication for your reading, that your future is going to be bright. But since this does represent triumph, it represents a triumph before a struggle comes. So right now, you should be feeling triumphant, but you're going to have a struggle. So that moves on to our obstacle, our conflict card, karma, destiny, fate. And we have one of 2 cards that's going to be reversed in your reading, and it's justice. Now, justice usually talks about Libra, and from past experiences, I know that Cancers and Libras Leos and Libras don't always go together very well for the long term. And here, that's why I said Cancers, because I was thinking that from this card. But I know that I'm talking about Leos based on this reading. When I see Libra's card, Justice. This is the number 11 card, which, break it down, you have 1 and 1, which makes 2. So I think of balance, 2 things, duality, 2 choices, 2 lovers, past, present, past, future, present, future, and it's in reverse. So it means you could not be making a choice. That could be like your destiny for a particular person, whether it might be a Libra or not. It could be just any air sign. You could be making a decision, but it's going to be delayed. But when I see Justice, it talks about becoming a new person. You don't know your worth. You've settled because you don't know yourself. And I don't want that for you, Leos, okay? Now, this talks about equality, everything being righted, truth. When you see this sword upright, it talks about victory. And then the balances are in the left hand, talking about intuition. And this usually indicates success and victory and having the balance between intellectual thoughts, logic, and emotions and intuition. But in reverse, it talks about a lack of balance, a lack of logic, irrationality, not being objective. Talks about there's an action to every, or a reaction to every action. This talks about a need for brutal honesty. In reverse, it talks about your intentions could be sabotaged. When I look at it upright, I see all this passion indicated by the red robe. And there's underneath you see this white shoe, which represents the pure intentions underneath all the passion. So when it's in reverse, this tells me there are not pure intentions that come along with the passion. And I'm not saying this is you. I'm saying this could be an upcoming partner. And if this is you for some reason, this does talk about becoming a new person. So if you realize that your intentions are not true, you're going to work on changing that. But in reverse, this talks about, sabotaged intentions. If you did have pure intentions, they're being sabotaged. Talks about severity. Something's going to be very severe. Talks about law and order, bias, bigotry. And when I think of bigotry, just funnily enough, I also hear bigamy, which makes me think more than one lover. Okay. With this upright, this tells me that you're seeking real love. And here this tells me that you're not getting it. And that's going to be the conflict or the situation. I don't think this is your destiny as in the final outcome. I think it's your destiny to go through this and come out of it. Moving on to card number 3. Let's put that back in the reverse. Is the Hermit upright. And the Hermit upright is in the change position. And that means, what can you change to affect this conflict or obstacle or come out of this fated event? And people see the Hermit and they think, oh no, I have to go be alone and distance myself. And I know that Leos are sociable people. They like the limelight, the attention. They need to be adored. And so that could be like purgatory for you. But that's not always the case, okay? This card represents Virgo, or if you think about it, the virgins. Which when I see this, I think about getting away, finding purity. So if you were this inverted Justice, and you had a bunch of passion, but you did not have that pure intention underneath the passion, okay, to change that, you're going to go into some self-reflection, a little bit of solitude. You may break with this person or take a breather, get some space, okay? And again, talking about getting away from things that don't matter. You see the Chariot, He's riding away from the town. Don't know where he's going, but this signifies leaving materialism behind, superficiality, leaving that behind. So you've left something superficial, or you're about to leave something superficial, because you're seeking real love, true love, but you're not getting it. Okay, so that's what's going to be the obstacle. Because you didn't get it, you're going to withdraw. And I do want to tell you that the only thing, when it comes to the order of these cards, this is number 9, okay? And we said justice was number 11. So in the middle is 10, correct? That number 10 card is the Wheel of Fortune. And although it did not come in your reading, the only thing between the Hermit and your conflict justice, inverted justice, is the Wheel of Fortune, meaning a turn of fate or a turn of luck, okay? When this is in reverse, it means somebody is way off the path, okay? And if you see, he's standing on the mountains, kind of over a cliff, and he's looking off into the distance where there's more mountains. So he's where he needs to be. He's standing, the mountains represent stability of emotions, of thought. So he's where he needs to be. He's standing on stability. And the light isn't for you to see your way. The light is actually drawing you in to where you need to be. Where it's going to have you meditate, gain some self-knowledge, be humble, focus on what matters. And if you're focusing on what matters, you've left superficiality behind, something happened, and because that happened, you're going to start focusing again on what really matters. In reverse, this means something's being concealed, or you're concealing something. You're fearful, you're being too cautious. But here, this is saying you're not being too cautious. Okay, you're doing what you need to do. But it does talk about hiding a little bit. But it's a hiding for a good purpose. This talks about going rogue, going off on your own. So here, I don't see you in a relationship, or I don't see you being as involved in the relationship as you once were. If you do still happen to be with this person, okay? Maybe you're trying to figure out if it's real love or if it's superficial. This talks about selflessness, being of service to others, finding wisdom, living on your own terms, finding out your own belief system. And if you did break up, this talks about not being alone after a loss. In regards to love, this talks about self-love, spiritual love. You revel in what's good about your relationship. You dwell on that. Don't try so hard when it comes to love. Just take a step back, gain perspective. If you are having arguments with someone, those arguments likely aren't the root of the problem. You need to focus on the connection you have with that lover. Or this could talk about take a break from searching for a lover or searching for that real love. Like they say, when you stop looking for it, that's when it shows up. I have to tell you, through this reading, I really don't like whoever this is going to be. So if it were me, I would distance myself from that person permanently. But that may not be the advice for every Leo out there. Maybe just for some. So each one of you has to make that decision on your own. When I see the Hermit, and I think of virgin and purity, this makes me think of seeking a mentor, seeking good counsel, seeking advice before you make a decision. whether that advice is from yourself or from somebody more knowledgeable or wise than you. And something I've noticed is there's a star. The six-pointed star is what's leading or drawing you in. And here, this is your situation that you're in, and there's tons of six-pointed stars, especially one on the crown. So your inner hermit is drawing you in. Your inner knowledge, your inner wisdom is drawing you in. For those who are looking for a work reading, this is mostly a love reading, I have to tell you. But if this is about work for some people, this shows that you are desperate for a job, and it's actually going to show during your interviews. So you need to work on meditating, being stable, being selfless, being of service to others. Think about those things. Be humble. Focus on what matters. And you'll do better, okay? Again, if this is about work for someone, the Chariot talks about maybe leaving a really good paying job. And then you have these opposites. When I see these wings, I think of Cupid's wings that show up on the Lover's card sometimes, or on the Knight of Cups, which indicates romance. Okay, so there could be opposites in romance. There could be purity and evil in a romance. Okay, sometimes, white and black are considered good and bad, but not always. And then there's a symbol in here that means opposites coming together. I think it's a Hindu symbol. I can't remember. Going to your third card, which is your strength, what is going to help you in the situation? We talked about change is going to help the situation, but what about you or your situation is going to help you? And you have the Page of Wands upright. And again, we see there's a feather, like in the wings, which could indicate creativity, imagination. But he has salamanders on his vestment, which symbolize creativity and transformation. And if you're about to change something by seeking inner wisdom and meditation, you are going to focus on yourself or your connection in your relationship. You're going to have new beginnings. Because like the Fool, this card represents new beginnings, only not naively, okay? I mean, you've really had some thought about this. You meditated on this, you had solitude, okay? So you're going to have a new beginning. That's your strength. You can transform. This talks about news, messages, conversations, communications. And this talks about synchronicities. You could be awaiting news. This could also talk about, since I happened to just randomly put this card here when it popped out, I didn't really know what to do with it. And he's looking up towards this card. This could be that he's bringing favorable news about whoever this is. And we'll get to it, don't worry. This talks about being bold. You could receive a message in the mail because he's like a postman. And he has wand energy because he's holding a wand. So he has the aspects of the fire signs, like spontaneity, vitality, passion. This also indicates that you're going into the dating scene. So maybe you broke up with somebody, you're taking a break, you reflect, and then your strength is you're going to go in the dating scene. You're going to have fun. Smooth sailing's coming up. You're going to broaden your horizons. And if you look, the hermit has a horizon, in front of him, even though the sun isn't out. But he's not really looking at it. He's too busy contemplating. But here, okay, you're going to broaden your horizons. This talks about stability. So here we had imbalance with the justice inverted. We had instability. And here, the chariot can talk about trouble, vengeance, or triumph before some kind of a struggle. Talk about control. Okay. This energy can also talk about you're restless. So maybe being restless is going to be a strength for you because you're going to have a call to action, because this is what this is telling you to do. You need to act. And you're going to have a sudden spark, whether it's of creativity, an epiphany, or a spark of passion. If this is you, you're a faithful lover, and it could be that the person who's represented by the inverted justice could be unfaithful. That could be the quarrel going on, the imbalance. Or it could have caused you to become imbalanced as far as your emotions. But he talks about stability. So whatever offer or news comes in, it's going to, might be strange, but it's going to bring you stability. Whether it's a stable relationship, a stable job, it's going to be a new beginning. And then you could end up with a faithful lover. And because in reverse, this talks about miscommunication or malfunction, when it's upright, it talks about good communication and everything working. This offer you're going to get, not only is it going to be strange, but it's going to be unexpected. You're over here on this mountain, reflecting, trying to gain your own belief system, and then you have this unexpected offer. So I don't know how long you're going to be the hermit in order to change. But it's not going to last forever, obviously. This one tells you to behave freely. Don't be repressed, whether it's emotionally or sexually. Talking about love, in a negative sense, this could mean immature love because the page is young. Or it could just mean that you're going to find somebody who's younger than you are. Or you're going to be younger than the person that you find, depending on who this represents. But I really think this is going to be, it could be both, because this is your strength, so it could be you. But if it's somebody or an event coming in to bring you strength, then it wouldn't be you. So you're going to have to make that connection for yourself. This can talk about sudden love. If it's unexpected, it's sudden love. A love unlike any other. And if you're already in a relationship, this could mean you're going to see your relationship, your love, from a new perspective, a good perspective. And if you happen to still be connected to this person who's done you wrong, then you will decide whether it's based on this sudden love or just out of your transformation of your belief system that you're going to cut your losses and find fulfillment elsewhere. And again, because this Page of Wands is a little different compared to the others, the person you find may be very different than what you would normally expect. That's why it could be unexpected offer. They may be somebody that you wouldn't look twice at. Somehow they gain your attention. Maybe because this person did you so wrong, you're willing to give anybody a chance. Hopefully that's not the case, because that's not a good way to live. You need to, let's see, where was it? Somewhere we talked about, I think it was here. No, I think it was this one. Talking about having settled, not knowing your worth. So maybe you settled for somebody in the past. You thought you deserved them or you didn't deserve better because you didn't know who you were. And then here with the Hermit, you find out who you are, and bam, unexpected love coming in. Could be a fire sign, okay? I don't know. After dealing with possibly a Libra or an air sign, you may be willing to just go with your own signs, whether you're a Leo, Sagittarius. I mean, whether they're a Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries, you could just say, hey, let's just work with the fire sign from now on. Because, things that go together, things can go together to work for a union. All right, the card that comes in your other challenges is the Moon upright. And this can be one or both meanings of a challenge, whether it's something that's going to come up, that's going to work with your other conflict that's coming up, or it could be a dare. I challenge you to do something kind of a thing. So the Moon talks about truth being revealed. It talks about secrets. It can talk about danger. It talks about your intuition and your dreams. It talks about illusions, imagination. It can talk about terror and error at the same time. Terror and error. So the challenge could be that you made an error, or you're going to make an error by not leaving that person behind. This talks about deception, hidden enemies, you don't know about it. Talks about life and death. Being aware psychically. So your dreams, your intuition are going to give you some messages. You need to listen to them. In reverse, it says listen to your dreams. But if you're being psychically aware, you need to listen to your dreams anyway. But this talks about panic and anxiety. You see the Moon is inside the Sun. So this makes me think you are both of these people. Okay? Because you're represented by the Sun as a Leo. And inside, you have this anxiety. And you can see that this Moon is not happy, judging maybe. Okay? So inside, you have this inner conflict. This could be a leftover consequence of this other relationship rather than a different challenge. It's left over. So rather than be anxious, wait around for the truth to be revealed. Don't dig so deep that you become anxious and you panic. This talks about the truth will be revealed. All these secrets are going to be revealed. The deception will be revealed. If there is, in fact, a deception, okay? This card represents Pisces. So it could be about a lot of emotion, especially with the water and the Moon. But this is also a little bit of advice or a challenge. Like, I dare you, take everything people say at face value. That means if they say it, you believe it, okay? It says do that until the truth comes out. Because otherwise you're going to drive yourself crazy. The Moon talking about madness. The dogs howling like mad dogs. You're going to drive yourself crazy if you start just investigating. As far as love, this can talk about if it's a difficulty, the difficulty is you really want a dream lover. You want true love. You didn't get it. That's what you really want. As a challenge or a dare, it could be that go out and find your dream lover. Don't waste your time with this person, this other person. This could also talk about miscommunication in love. So that's another reason why you should take things at face value. In case you're wrong about something, don't assume. You could be wrong. Not necessarily. In fact, from this reading, I don't think you are. But you'll at least come out looking better if they're the one who is being crazy. Okay? This also talks about making a good first impression for those of you who are going on interviews. You don't have another chance to make a good first impression, so you need to do your best. Don't look crazy. But the same can go for relationships. Maybe your challenge is because you've been so messed up that you're starting to not believe what people say. You've been hurt. And for the new person that's going to come in, the person who's going to be your dream lover, you could miscommunicate your first impression to them because they think that you're aloof or off limits. When this is in reverse, this means you are unable to move on or to change. But it's not. Okay? This means you are able to move on. You are able to change, whether it's changing your belief system, moving on from a relationship, you are able to do it. Ooh, I got chills there. Here, this means unhappy. So if it's up here, this means you are going to be happy. This means stability, because in reverse, it means unstable. You're going to be crazy. But here, don't be crazy. You're not confused. Just pull it together. Believe everybody until the truth is revealed. Believe the illusions. You can use your intuition. Just imagine that everybody is your friend until they prove that they're not. I know that doesn't sound like good advice, really, but it's going to keep you from going insane. Coming to your final outcome, it's called potential. So this could be your outcome, but it is contingent on you being that hermit, making changes, meditating, going into your belief systems, transforming, being receptive to sudden love, and then just taking things at face value until they're proven otherwise. Be aware that you could be miscommunicating things, and so be more diligent about that. And again, this could talk about a challenge would be don't go too fast. Don't be vulnerable too fast because it could bite you. Okay? So if you get this sudden love and you want to be vulnerable with this person, you want to go fast like you probably have in the past. But this tells you don't do it. Okay? You'll appreciate yourself more if you go slow with whoever you plan on being with. So coming to your potential outcome, if you follow what the cards are telling you to do, you have the Ace of Pentacles upright. And this is a good card, especially when it's upright. This talks about happiness, ecstasy, perfect contentment. So you're going to end up perfect. Perfect, Leo, perfect. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. This also refers to gold, increase, the material world. And I thought that was a little strange that came up. Because cards 1 and 3 said you left the material world and you're seeking what really matters. Because things don't matter. Money doesn't matter. So I was like, why in the world are we getting a Pentacles card at the very end? Now in reverse, it talks about money is the root of all evil. But really, it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. So if you get an increase in material gain, okay, it's not going to be because you've been seeking after it, or you're obsessed with it, or you love it. It just talks about prosperity, abundance. That could be in love, not necessarily with gold or money. This also talks about stability. I talked about in reverse, the Hermit means way off the path. But upright, it could be that you took yourself off the path for a little bit, just to kind of reflect. And at the end, this talks about being back on the path. So you go out of the path, you come back, and it's good. This can talk about new opportunities. So for those of you who are looking for a job, this could be it. At the end, you'll find it. But if it's about love, you'll have a new opportunity for love. I mean, thinking about here, this new sudden love, an unexpected offer. That's your strength, okay? So I can't say, when your strength is going to show up, but it's going to help you get through things as well as meditating. This is about love. It's talking about the beginning of a new relationship, an exciting new phase, mutual attraction. And not only mutual attraction, but the attraction that brings creativity. And we talked about that with the Cupid wings on the Chariot and the feather in the Page of Wands. So there's going to be creativity and imagination that could go towards a job, or just, keeping love alive. Be creative in your love life. And because it's an ace, ace brings whatever this is, it brings it in its purest form. So love is coming to you in its purest form. There's no sabotage intentions anymore, okay? Your intentions will be pure. The love that's being brought to you is pure. So there's nothing of deceit found in this card. The love that you're going to have is going to be built on a good foundation. And this could mean that your relationship will stem from work or school or somehow connected to finances. And that's a good thing. But this is a really good card, okay? It could talk about jobs, gaining money. Could talk about gaining a new opportunity in love. And if you're currently in a relationship, this could be talking about a new exciting phase that you're going to go through together. That's your general reading, but I wanted to bring up that the Chariot, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, the information here builds off of the Lovers card. And the very first card that ever popped out whenever I was praying was the Lovers. And I didn't know where to put it, so I just put it off to the side. And the Chariot, it says that it works off the Lovers. Whatever the Lovers means, that's what the Chariot works off of. So this triumph, this victory, this trouble or self-control, this opposites make a whole, being bold, it's going to work off the Lovers card, okay? And this also talks about providence. So, providence could be bringing in a fated lover, a soulmate. And again, when I said the Page of Wands brings favorable testimony, and how he was looking at this card, well, he was looking at the Lovers. And this means that he's going to be this sudden, unexpected love, this message, this offer is bringing favorable testimony about a lover that's coming in. I feel like this is not going to be your ex. I feel like it's going to be somebody new. Because Page of Wands talks about new beginnings. However, it could mean you're going to have a new beginning with a past lover, or your person that you took a breather from, or you're having new beginnings within your current relationship, despite some deception. And if you look here at the Lovers, you have Adam and Eve. Adam has fire behind him, 12 leaves of fire, which represent all the zodiac signs. And Eve behind there has the snake and the fruit, meaning she's fruitful. So this relationship could end in marriage and children. If this is about the lover who deceived you and made you, lose your balance emotionally and logically, it could indicate this person as well. Maybe you have a new beginning. And you know how Eve tempted Adam into eating the apple and she deceived him and they fell? But then they did end up together. So this could be the overall message for some Leos. For others, I don't think that is, because I've given a reading to a Leo recently, and that was not the message that came through. But there is another message that came through that we'll get to a little bit with your clarifying cards. But because there's 3 people in this reading, it could indicate a love triangle. That could be why somebody was unfaithful. Probably a Libra. Not necessarily. Okay, not hating on the Libras here. And that's what caused you to go into seclusion, to rethink your belief systems. Do you really think there's such thing as true love? That's what you wanted, you didn't get it. And it's the same, there's a soulmate waiting. It could be the person that deceived you. They could be your soulmate. But there could be a new person coming in who's your soulmate. This also talks about choices, duality, because there's 2 lovers. Sometimes you'll see the lovers exchanging a cup, like the 2 of Cups almost. No? Okay. The lovers remind me of the 2 of Cups is what it thinks of. And let's talk about balancing opposites, romance, beauty, overcoming trials. We talked about that. It talks about harmony, good communication. There's been a lot of bad communication in this reading, but here you're going to have good communication with this person. And you see the angel above them that's presiding over their union. It's supposed to be Raphael, and he's giving a blessing of protection. So there's going to be warmth and security. You won't be deceived with this person like the justice person. And again, it talks about fertility, soulmates. But this also talks about you will be strong in your beliefs. So for those of you who will not find a relationship for some reason, in this reading, this talks about the union of your beliefs with yourself. You will know what is right and wrong. You will know what is important. And we did talk about that with leaving material, superficial things behind, seeking what matters, and you find it. Okay, so, or you seek it, and then here you find it. This is not your outcome, okay? Your outcome was the Ace of Pentacles, like complete happiness and contentment. And I think for people who weren't sure what the contentment was going to be about, it's going to be about lovers or a union of your beliefs with yourself. But this can also talk about a dilemma that's going to present itself, and it will be a call to action or to make a decision, because 2 talks about choices. Something is going to change your plans. And see the sun behind him? This is definitely about Leo. Okay. The change in your plans may seem negative at first, but it will be a blessing in disguise. And I take that 2 ways. Either the person who deceives you, that you take a breather from, that seems very negative, but it caused you to go in and think and meditate on what you believe and what you want, and see, if your arguments are really about the arguments or if it's about something like a deeper root inside you. Okay. It could be that the person never deceived you. It could be that you had some problems going on that you had to deal with, and it was affecting your relationship. Okay. So in the end, it seems negative that this stuff happened to you, but you're going to be reunited with yourself as far as your beliefs. If the person did cheat on you and you meditated and you went through it, and although it seemed negative, it could be a blessing in disguise, whether you figure out how to be together or you leave them and you find somebody else. So it's really a blessing. Because if they had not been deceptive, you would not have left them. This also talks about choosing between an easy or difficult path. And the more difficult path would prove more rewarding. So the easy path may be to stay with the person. The easy path may be to leave the person. You have to decide which one's easy and which one's difficult. That's why you're going to have to seek guidance. This card means seek guidance if you have a choice to make. Seek out that mentor. Okay, you had that mentor to begin with to help you think through your thoughts and your emotions. Maybe it's a therapist. And then when you become happy and content, you have this lover, you need to seek guidance if there's a choice to be made. So this is the choice, whether it's easy or difficult. There's going to be a definite right or wrong. There's a right choice and a wrong choice, and you have to make it, and that's why you need guidance. And then if somebody gives you bad advice, you can blame them if it's the wrong choice, okay? But yeah, something's going to change your plans, whether it's marriage, whether it's, leaving somebody and finding someone else. But you need to examine your motives when it comes to what choice you make. Here, this could mean possibly that your motives weren't pure when you came with the passion. But I think that really refers to someone else, not you. They could for some Leos out there. So here you're going to examine your motives of why you want to do what you do. This means you're not going to be reluctant to open up anymore. Here this says be reluctant to open up. Okay, don't be vulnerable too fast because you could get hurt. Or that could be your challenge, okay? But here this says, you're not going to avoid any consequences. You're going to open up. You're not going to make a rushed decision. You have a strong belief system now. You don't have to work on it anymore. And there's no fundamental difference between you and your lover. It talks about mutual attraction also. And the love is not unrequited. You both want each other. Okay, going into the clarification cards, when I'm praying, I ask for a significator, a clarifier, and an advice card. I do the significator first, and I pulled up the lovers again. So this is talking about you. This is the significant part of the situation, the lovers. The reason I have lovers again is because I used a separate deck. Okay, this is the deck I usually use, the Universal Rider-Waite. And I use this one in case I need to use a clarifier card that's already in the reading, and it happened. This is only the second time that's happened to me. So this is just clarifying that you are the one in the situation. You'll know, okay? Going to the actual clarifying card, and not the significator, is the Five of Wands, upright. This can talk about imitation. And that makes me think that somebody was being superficial. This justice person was being superficial. It could have been that you were superficial, and then you decide to seek true love. You'll have to know who you are. Okay. This talks about imitation. So it's just clarifying that something is fake in this relationship, whether it's you or the other person. It talks about competition, sport, strife, not real fighting. Okay. But it also talks about being diligent. Like, dot your I's, cross your T's. Make sure you have your B's and D's right, for those of you who reverse letters. Just cover your butt. This also talks about gaining gold, and that kind of goes with your outcome. Okay. But when it talks about just gain, it could be the gain of a relationship. This is just further clarifying it. It also talks about the struggle for riches and fortune. For those of you who are looking for a job, okay, left the material world, maybe not of your own choosing, okay? And then you were seeking to find things that matter. And if you're with the moon, if you're going crazy, it's going to show up in an interview, okay? But you're struggling to get money. But here, this to me sounds like you're struggling for your beliefs, your relationships, okay? This can also talk about new desires. You have uncomfortable emotions based on whatever happened to you. And so you become the hermit to deal with them, to dissect them, learn from them, and you gain new desires. You're going to be bold, you're going to fight, not as in fight for your life, but just fighting like in a competition, you're going to win. And then, he talks about victory, triumph. He talks about triumph before a struggle, and this could mean, going along with the outcome card, that you're going to triumph after the struggle as well. Be bold. This does talk about inner conflicts as well, so this can clarify that you're having an inner conflict, or you will. But it also reminds you about how the grit inside the clam eventually turns into a pearl. And I think that is a perfect metaphor or analogy for your reading for February 2017. Grit and pearl. This can talk about conflict that leads to creativity. You come up with a solution. In reverse, it talks about irrational decisions. But upright, you would think it'd be the opposite, rational decisions. So you're going to make good decisions, probably from seeking counsel, okay? If it's talking about love, it means you're clashing with a partner. It could mean a breakup, but not necessarily. For some, maybe. For others, no. This says, make sure your partner has true intentions at heart. My goodness, we've been talking about that. How this talks about impure intentions because it's inverted. Then we talked about your intentions were being sabotaged or something like that, okay? So make sure your lover's intentions are pure at heart. Now, that doesn't mean do investigations and make yourself crazy, okay? You gotta take things at face value until the truth is revealed, the illusion is taken down, okay? It says, watch out for snap judgments. Now, whether that's with your partner that hurt you, maybe you just assumed they were cheating, okay? Then you went into this big emotional breakdown, or we talked about making good first impressions and coming off as crazy if you miscommunicate incorrectly, and then don't be too vulnerable too fast. And here, the Five of Wands is talking about don't make snap judgments. So maybe this new partner coming in, maybe, you went and looked twice at them, you think they're strange. Don't go by first impressions, okay? Maybe your challenge is that somebody gives you a really weird first impression. You want to make a good first impression on somebody that's coming in, or maybe you don't have a good first impression of somebody new coming in, or you had the wrong impression of your current lover. And this also says if you did break up with somebody, that you have to be this hermit and sort out your emotions, different areas of your life, so you don't drag it with you into the next relationship. This talks about moving past conflict in order to be stronger. And that love comes only when you're truly ready. Only when you've sorted out your baggage will this true love come. And from looking at this, it's going to be unexpected. Maybe even a little strange. Going to the advice card, the second card that's inverted is the Seven of Swords. This is the card you may be familiar with, where there's a man leaving a camp. He's carrying 5 swords with him, and he leaves 2 behind, staked in the ground, because he can't take everything with him. This is this, but it's in reverse. Okay. This normally talks about changeability, a changing environment, restlessness, achieving things dishonestly, a volatile but affectionate person. So this could mean you're leaving that kind of person behind. This talks about being afraid of being trapped, being bored or withdrawn, but you're not going to be. Okay? This means don't be afraid of being trapped. Don't be afraid of being withdrawn. Here it talks about betrayal, most likely emotional. Okay? And since it's already happened to you, or you're going to find out pretty soon, by the time you get to this advice, it means leave it in the past. This also talks about not betraying somebody else emotionally, for those of you who have that option. But the advice is upright, the advice is to be cautious. So here, I think it means with that person from the past, be cautious. But with whoever's coming in, don't be cautious. Yes, you don't want to go too fast or be too vulnerable. Like any relationship, you don't want to have a rushed decision. And this says you won't make any rushed decisions. This one's saying, you don't have to be too overly cautious because they're not like that last person. But it talks about don't have too many thoughts or feelings that are driving you crazy. Somebody, probably your ex, or who's going to soon be your ex, they're an unreliable, manipulative person. Okay, they make decision making impossible because they have your emotions all wound up. They're tricking you, they're deceiving you. This talks about, again, you have 3 cards that talk about this. Seek advice before proceeding. Okay? Find somebody who's a mentor, somebody you trust. Seek advice before you do anything. This talks about quarreling. Again, seek good advice. Communicate honestly, because somebody could slander you or have gossip about you. Do everything by honest means. Because upright, that guy is stealing those 5 swords. Here it says do everything honestly. Whether it's a breakup, you need to be honest. Do it. You need to seek stability. This also says, for your advice, imagine abundance, whether it's love or money, and it will manifest as if by magic. It'll just fall into your lap. And again, the advice here is don't let anyone in quickly. Don't be too cautious, though. Just don't let them in quickly. Let them in. Just let it go at a normal pace. And again, this talks about a deceptive lover or person, since this is about love. It says there's a chance if you don't go slow, okay? If you don't go a little cautiously, that you could be seduced and then abandoned. Your lover who seduces you could leave you. And that could lead to all kinds of problems. If this is clarifying something for you and not giving you advice, it could clarify that that's what happened with the justice. Somebody seduced and left you. They're not your true lover. They were masquerading as if they were, but they're not. And it left you, it reeled, it sent you reeling, okay? And the reason why I said I know this is definitely for Leos is I gave my ex-husband, who is a Leo, a reading, and he asked about true love. So I gave him one about 2 weeks ago. And this card came up for him, as well as the Lovers. Trying to think of anything else that may have come up. And his reading talked about there was a lover that came in who was an air sign. Think about Libras being air signs, okay? And the air sign was putting on a false face and was trying to seduce and then leave. but they came off as a true love, but they weren't. And then, funnily enough, in that particular reading, he specifically got a card that said to pick a water sign, most likely a Cancer. So that's going to be different for different Leos, I assume. But what seems to be the case in all Leos coming up soon is that you're going to have a lover who's going to be something that they're going to appear to be something that they're not. It's not going to be true love, although you think it might be, and that's what you really want. And if you go slow and go cautious, you're going to wait out this truth that's going to be revealed. And by that, you won't get hurt, okay? So this could be talking about taking a breather, just waiting things out until you see it come to light. Maybe by the light of the moon, talking about secrets being revealed, okay? I mean, you're gonna know it, okay? You're not gonna investigate and drive yourself crazy, but you're gonna know this person's false. And then when you break it off, and that leaves room for a sudden person to come in. Could be a fire sign for most of you Leos. But they're going to come in and they're going to be your soulmate. And you're still going to go slow with them just because of what's hurt you in the past. But it's going to be good, okay? And if for some reason you have to choose between the false love and the true love, there's a definite right and wrong one to choose, okay? And that's why you need to seek advice to know who to pick. Alright, since this turned out to be a love reading, and I don't always get those, I pulled from my Romance Angel Oracle cards. And I got, you can see that, sorry they're so glossy, this could be the one. And it says, you've already met the romantic partner you seek. So when it talks about an unexpected offer, that means you probably already know the new love coming in. But when it talks about this could be the one, that makes me think if you've already met them and it's the partner you seek, that makes me think that it's your current partner and they could be the one. And for some of you it might be, but for some of you it's not going to be. So it's a choice. You're going to have to figure it out. Then I got release your ex in reverse. So this is saying, for some of you, don't release your ex. For some of you, it's saying that you're not releasing your ex. And you need to. And I hate to say both of those things because they're almost contradictory. Because you're like, well, which one do I do? Do I release them or should I keep them? And I can't tell you that, okay? You're going to have to seek somebody out who can help you. I hope that's not me that you were looking for because I don't have that information. Me personally, I would say pick somebody new because you already know what you're getting with a current lover or an ex. If you look at it, it says, the time has come to clear your energy. I think that's good advice because that's what the Hermit's telling you to do. But for some reason you haven't yet, but you will. Or this could be telling you not to do it. More likely, I think it's you're not doing it now. And then let your friends help you. You know, how are you going to get through this? Who are you going to seek for advice? Seek a friend that you trust with your life. Maybe more than one friend. And see what their opinion is. Because real friends will tell you what they think. They'll tell you the truth. They aren't going to make you stay with somebody who's hurting you. And just get support. You know, if you're going through a hard time, they're there for support, not just advice. Okay, so that could be an advice card as well. Alright, Leos, that's your reading for February 2017. I think it's a good reading because in the end you'll be happy. You just have to go through something first. And it's also a warning about a deceptive person who is going to masquerade as a true love, but they are not. And you will have true love with the person that comes later. Alright, have peace, be happy.